I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody all about somebody who saved my soul. Ever since you rescued me, you gave my heart a song to sing. I'm living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus.
Welcome to another episode of the Low Life's Recovery Channel. Today I am here with Servants for Christ, Squatch, who is a good friend of Low Life's Club. He is a man of Christ and a sober individual who has brought a lot of hope and inspiration to me personally. He's been a valuable asset to us as a club, and really happy to have you here with us today to share your story. So, give us a little bit of background, Squatch. You weren't born here. You came up from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Fell into all of your things elsewhere.
Yep.
So let's give us a little bit of background from there. Where were you born?
So I was born actually in Casa Grande, Arizona.
Okay.
And then what ended up happening was things happened with my mom and my dad. They ended up moving me out to California, and then I got taken by the system. And I have a couple other sisters out there too, but they're doing all right in their life. And I pretty much grew up on the streets of California in San Jose, and then Bakersfield, and then a little bit of Southern California, but majority of it in San Jose.
So how young were you when you moved over to
Oh
when you
shoot,
went to California?
I was 7. When I got adopted, I was around 9 years old.
Okay.
So bounce house to house. I got taken when I was 4 years old. So then I stayed in the system until around 8. I want to say
that's
8.
what you mean by you were taken into the system.
Yeah.
You were taken into foster care.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, I got you. So, okay, young boy, streets of California.
Yeah.
When were you first introduced to drugs and addiction and all of it? Was that an early thing in your life that you were exposed to it?
Dude, I started smoking when I was 6 years old.
Oh wow.
And it made me feel better. I didn't like the way I felt, and everybody else was doing it, and they seemed like they were happy. So I started with weed very young because it was fun. It made me smile, and I was the life of the party then, and I was accepted by people. Well, then as I got older, weed didn't hit it as much. So then I ended up getting into heavier things, and kind of went off from there, and it didn't give me that first high that you get. I could never reach that again, so I needed to try something different to get me there. And it went from that to alcohol, and then parties, and then everybody's doing it. So shoot, they're having a good time. I want to have a good time.
No, absolutely. What was your drug of choice?
Meth and weed, pretty much. Meth and weed. I tried some other things here and there, like coke really wasn't my thing. It always took away my buzz, but meth always helped me feel a lot better, and I felt invincible. And weed put me down so I can go to sleep. And kind of just use it just like the normal pills you get at the doctors. That's how I figured out how it works.
So a couple of our guys came up in that small town atmosphere. Right?
Yeah.
And me too, right? I grew up in Wood, Stevensville, these little hick towns where that was our struggle, right? There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Right? We sit around and everyone's going to the bar or it's the culture. We always wound up in it just because that's what it was. And it was a lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. Not so much as addiction and stigma and all this stuff. It was, everybody drank, everyone had bonfires, everyone everyone fought. It was always a thing. How is that different down there?
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I can only imagine the craziness.
Yeah, it was. So all the OGs, they were always on something, and I always listened to what they had to say because they'd been through it, And the youngsters that were there, they were just about making a scene for themselves, So if I would watch them and see what they were doing, I'd mimic what the older generation did. For us, it was a lot more to do, like from selling it to using it, and everybody wanted it, and if they wanted it and I had it, well, that means I was important to them, and that made me have a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, if you will, and yeah, if they wanted to party, they wanted to buy it, and they wanted to smoke it with me, I'm not going to say no, So down there, there wasn't many bonfires. When I moved up here, that's when my alcoholism really took over. But in California, it was primarily weed and meth. And if you had coke, you were the life of the party. Everybody knew you, And that's where I felt like I found my identity in that. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. So when I started, I was a young kid in Missoula,
yeah,
and I had got around some older kids from Washington, some older black kids, Crips from
yeah,
Washington,
yeah,
that to them I was the coolest thing, right?
hmm,
Because I was a little white kid, I could go everywhere,
yep,
uh, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I had all this attention from these dudes,
hmm,
and next thing I know, I had money and I had
yep,
all the stuff.
yep.
So it absolutely makes sense. That's exactly how I got started. Was the desire to be the
Or
guy.
yeah, to
Right?
be a part of something
Yep.
that made you feel better. That's what it was.
Take us through the really dark days. When did it? When? What was the culmination of the worst?
The
Leading up
worst
to the
days.
end. Whenever you finally decided that enough was enough,
Hmm.
like, take us through the end of your addiction.
Well, there's kind of two parts of that. I was living in San Jose. I was at this. I was paying a buttload of money for this studio apartment. I had a girlfriend who was pregnant with my firstborn, and I needed to make money. So, and I told her I'm not going to use anymore. And I was using. I was lying, and I was gone for weeks at a time. And it wasn't until um, he was born. No, we ended up moving from there to Arizona because if you ever been in addiction, you think in your head, if I just moved location, I could start over again and have a fresh slate. So we ended up moving to Colorado, actually, Pueblo West, and then from there moved to Arizona. My son was born, and I was sitting there looking at him, and I was kind of like, I don't want him to be like me. I want to give him everything I can, And mind you, the whole time this girl is with me, I'm putting her through hell because of my addiction. I'm telling her I'm going to quit, and then I'm lying to her. I'm telling her I'm going to do this and that, and I'm lying. So mentally and emotionally, she was already kind of pushing back on me, but she stayed with me because of the kid. And it wasn't until I was high this one night, and I ended up snapping at one of her friends that came over, which was a dude, and I did some bad things to that man, and I regret that today. But it wasn't until that time where she decided she needed to get a restraining order on me, and I couldn't see my son, I couldn't see her, and I didn't really care much about her. I cared about my son, at that time. And I remember sitting there in my room, and I grabbed the side chick that I was hanging out with. I'm not proud of any of that stuff. That's not me anymore. But this side chick I was hanging out with had a pistol, and I asked her for it. I said I need it, and she says okay. So she ended up leaving. I got as high as I didn't want to feel that feeling. I was victim minded at the time. I was like, oh, everybody's against me. If they don't like me anymore, I'm just gonna take my life. You know, I grabbed it. It was a little revolver Ruger, and I put it right in my mouth, and I hit it, and nothing happened. And I'm kind of getting irritated about it. So I looked at it again, and I know there's bullets in it. Closed it, and I put it on my temple, and I hit it. Nothing. And I was like, all right. I started praying. I remember praying, asking God to take this all from me because I don't want to be here anymore. Um, my entire life growing up, everything started coming in that rush of like everything's my fault. You know, I'm not meant to be here. I didn't plan on living past 18, and there I was, like 22, you know, and I didn't want to be here because I ruined every single. My family left me. This girl left me. I can't see my kid. I'm repeating exactly what my parents did to me, to this child who is completely innocent. I'm worthless, you know. That was one of the darkest times where I made a promise to myself. I'm never going to smoke meth again, you know, and I'm not gonna play around with any substance. But that's also the time where I decided if I can't smoke, I'm gonna drink. You know, it's legal. I can get it anywhere. Everybody else is doing it. Shoot, I'm gonna do it too. And it wasn't until I decided to. It wasn't until I was sitting in on Phillips Road in Helena, Montana, when my little girl. I ended up moving on and moving up here and got remarried and long story there, but had my little girl with me, and I was sitting on this chair, just leaned back, and I'm drunk. And my little girl comes up to me. She was like 4 years old. Says, "Daddy, do you need another beer or do you want a shot?" And a 4 year old coming up to me saying that, that means she knows what it is, you know. So I'm introducing this child to that, and that hit me. You know, I'm like, dude, no matter what I do to make myself feel better, I'm still ruining my kids. You know, that's how I took that. And it wasn't until I really started writing things down, because I thought writing things down would make me feel better. And there's something I wrote to myself was, I don't remember the exact words, but the lines were like, the world would be better off without me, you know. And I had a lot of suicidal thoughts, and I was in a dark place. Um, Same thing with this girl. I was never physically abusive, but mentally and emotionally, I was very abusive. And I was doing the same thing to her that I did to my son's mom, you know. And I was kind of like, dude, you're going around this mountain continuously. When are you gonna stop? And it wasn't it wasn't the fact that I wanted to quit. It was the fact that I didn't want my kids that I have now. 'Cause I already lost one. I didn't want to lose these ones. And how do you save them from this? Well, you have to be the example, you know. And that was one of the couple of the darkest moments. There's a many of them before that, you know. And but that one moment where my daughter asked me, that is when I kind of snapped out of that drunkenness. And I was kind of like, you know what, no more, man. And of course, being an alcoholic and a drug addict, a couple months later, I was in the bar drinking again, you know, and getting violent with everybody there, and remembering what I said, you know, and being like, dude, that's not who you are, man, you know. But yeah, that ruined that marriage, and I got tired of ruining marriages. I got tired of losing my family. Got tired of just being tired of me, you know. And that's where the peak of my stuff kind of set in. And God kind of worked in a crazy way at that point, because then it turned the corner from there. But yeah, that the one, if it was one time that got me off the drugs, it was that time I wanted to kill myself. I was living in this lady's house in a spare shoot living room, and I built a wall in a living room to keep myself, because that's the only spot I had. You
Yeah.
know, it was better than living underneath the bridge that I lived in California. But what's the difference then? You know, you're still, this is it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be this. And that's where it really got to me. It was kind of a mental thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was kind of a mental thing.
No, that's
You
that
know?
is that's a very powerful testimony.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's that kind of
Yeah.
hit me funny. That's super powerful. But what did it take after that? So we all hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be some sort of catalyst. I think like something has to get us over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was my wife.
Yeah.
It was Smiley. When I had decided that enough was enough, I caught myself real funny in the mirror one morning
Yeah.
as I was getting ready to do a shot.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yep. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And when I called my wife into the bathroom and told her,
hmm
this is the last one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do, whatever I got to do over the next few days. Do this. I said, but this is the last one. I'm done. Can't do this.
Yeah.
It was, for me, it was the way you could see it in her face.
hmm
Obviously, she saw something in my face or in my tone when I said it that she knew that this time,
Yeah.
it was right.
Yeah.
And there was something in the way that she looked at me when I said it
Yeah.
that was it. That was 7 years ago.
Right on,
and
brother.
I haven't touched it since.
Amen.
No relapses, no triggers. It was my wife for me.
Yeah.
That's what it took. It took my wife waiting on the other side of that tunnel.
That's
Right,
awesome.
she was just my light hanging
Yeah.
out there. And I think we all need that. Even if we've hit that point where it's okay, enough is enough, I'm done. We don't have that next thing.
Yeah.
I think it keeps a lot of people from getting there. What was that for you? What got you there?
So what you mean by that is like what got me to want to quit?
To actual sobriety.
Quit, to real
to
sobriety.
recovery.
Being brutally honest. I did have to, if you ever done the step work in the 12, I had to be honest with who I was and what I was doing. And similar to what you were saying, and by the way, that your woman is extremely strong, especially to stay out with you, brother. That's an amazing relationship. I'm very happy for you, brother. That's a God bless right there.
Thank you. She is amazing.
Yeah. Uh, to be brutally honest, telling people that I have a problem, admitting that I have a problem, that I do not have control over this, whatever this is, that I want to get high. That was kind of the point where I decided to turn. If that, I don't know if that's answering what you're trying to say. The way that actually happened was kind of weird. Can I talk about that?
That's what I'd like to know is kind of how that all went down.
I was working at Rent-A-Center, and I was there. I don't know what it's called now. The credit manager. So my job was to call people. I'm that dude that's on the phone. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, this is awesome. So I'm that guy that calls you. Hey, you're late. I want my money or I want the product. Essentially, that's not how they say it now, or anything. But I don't know. But you know what I mean.
You were a collector.
Yeah, I was collecting, and this guy comes in, and I'm sitting there, and I'm hungover, and still a little stoned, and this guy comes in, and I thought he was native because he comes in, he's like, hey, do you guys still need snow removal? I'm like, what the heck, dude? Like, who the heck are you? I was like, I don't know. My manager's not here. Let me get your card. Well, the card was my brother Shovel. It was his card. So I gave it to my boss and I ended up putting his number on my phone because I was like, shoot, I lived in Clancy at the time. I might need it up there. I called him and he came up, plowed it. And there was something weird about the dude. Like he had a sense of peace in him. That when he talked to you, it was really him. It wasn't this fake. I'm gonna put on a fake face, pretend like I'm happy. Da 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 da. It was really who he really is, and that was kind of weird for me. So I'm on Facebook one night and half lit, and I remember I had a bong and I ended up breaking it, so I said I'm going to bed. And on Facebook it shows people you may know from your contacts, and his name came up. Well, I'm looking at it and I'm like, shoot. And I ended up seeing the patch and I'm like, what? Who is this dude? So I clicked on it, ran, kind of Facebook stalked you, brother. So sorry. Uh, and he had this thing on set free, and that saying there, set free, stuck in my head. Like set free from what, dude? And then in my head it went into from everything. I'm free from it all. I don't have any chains on me because the image it has on the church is these hands breaking these chains, and that stood out to me. So I called him. He came up, plowed, and I asked him about it. He's like, "Well, if you want to know, we can have dinner." And there was something about this dude that I felt like I could talk to him. I could be real with him. And I told him about my family. I told him about my addiction, and he asked if I was high, and I was like, yeah, to get out of here and tell somebody this, yeah, I got to be high to be real. I don't know how to be sober. I don't know how to stay clean. And he introduced me into the rooms. And when he first told me you might be an alcoholic or a drug addict, I was like, I ain't no alcoholic, and I ain't a drug addict. I just use to make myself feel a little better. And if you've ever been in a first step meeting, everybody in there talks about it. And I sat there and said my bit, and all these people started talking, and I was like, I'm not gonna relate to any of these people. Y'all are talking some craziness. I didn't do that. I never did that. And then I started actually listening instead of being on the defense. I started listening every single person I could relate to, and I was like, dude, I get that. I've done that. And they started talking about identity, and I got it. I understood that, and I wanted that. I wanted their peace. I wanted their serenity, because if they think like I think, there is no serenity in here without some type of help.
Right.
And I wanted that, and I ended up um, things ended up happening there, but I ended up getting this job at Clear Choice Auto Glass, and the guy there, he's one of the best people I've ever known, Ken Dalton. And I saw what he had, and I told him a little bit about me, and he was like, I know you're in the rooms, and I saw what he had with his family, with his wife, with the relationship he had with people, you know, and that's something I've always wanted, is a family, and if that means I have to stay sober and stay clean to have that, then I want to know how he did it. I envied that to an extent. And yeah, I've been sober and clean for 8 years, and
8 years
8 years, yeah, February 13th, 2018. Thanks, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. And it was pretty much just seeing what people in recovery and people in just in that community had, and how the heck are they surviving in this world that is constantly going crazy, How are they doing it? And he showed me that path. But it all started with that one person with shovel walking into the store, and being willing to talk to me, you know. And then he introduced me to Set Free Ministries, and my whole family up here, 'cause I have family that's been here forever. They ride, and I saw that, and I kind of thought that was pretty badass, These bikers for Jesus, and I'm like, are they real? Are they fake? They all are in it for real. They're not about the whole bull crap. It's about who you are and how can we build you up. If it's through recovery, then let's do that. You know, but yeah, that's pretty much how I got sober, and it wasn't easy, because confessing yourself and being honest with yourself, that brutal honesty, was something I couldn't even do to myself, for myself, even though I knew I was lying about it. I was trying to portray something that I'm not, and yeah, that right when I reached that point of being honest with myself is when I could actually accept who I am, the real me, not this other individual that isn't me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So servants is pretty much like that's the beginning of your actual recovery, was when
Oh yeah.
when you were introduced to those guys.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is cool.
It was pretty cool.
That's great. So 8 years under your belt
Yes, sir.
from then,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Did you have any prior motorcycle club experience? Like, did you ride with anybody? Were you affiliated? Did you just kind of know the culture?
I knew the culture. I would know them. I'd see them, but I'd kind of just stuck to my own.
Yeah.
I have family that was involved in different organizations, but that was their thing out at the time when I was riding with them. I was only in it for because I was getting something from them. But when I moved up here, my uncle up here, Uncle Steve, short little bald, long beard person, you know, tattoos everywhere. He had a chopper, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And he introduced me into the rides out here, and that was kind of fun, you know. But prior to that, never really was involved that much, if you know what I mean.
Right. So how much motorcycling did you do?
Prior?
Yeah, prior.
Quite a,
You ride quite a bit?
yeah.
Yeah.
In California, Arizona, yeah, we rode quite a bit there.
Okay.
But it was more just solo, and if somebody at work rode, you'd ride with them, and that was pretty much it, you know. You knew the culture, you knew how to respect, you knew how to kind of figure things out when things got hot. You're like, hey, I'm out, you know. But yeah, I never ran a different patch. Um, Knew them, but that's about as far as that went.
I want to talk about riding first,
Okay.
and then the brotherhood,
Yeah, absolutely.
because a big thing that we're trying to work on, and maybe hopefully one day actually get a patent, is an actual form of therapy.
Yeah.
It's throttle therapy,
Yeah.
right? Equine therapy is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge thing, especially for veterans. And me growing up with horses, I totally understand that completely. I'm actually going to be working with a lady that we just met with one of her feisty horses.
Nice.
I'm kind of excited.
That's going to be pretty fun.
So, the same principles apply.
Mm-hmm.
Where you got to come learn about your machine.
Yep.
And learn how to work it, and learn the dangers, and all these things that are all integrated into the thing of, I can't be mad right now because I'm getting on my motorcycle.
Yep.
I can't be pissed off and in a bad frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
That'll kill me.
Yep. Life or death.
That thing will kill me. And so what we have been able to find is that as long as I'm not tearing off on my bike because I'm mad,
mm-hmm.
and I can go out and be mad, get on my bike, and go for a ride.
Yeah.
Right? It does something for you.
Yep.
So for you, how big does just riding play in your day-to-day recovery?
Oh, a lot. It is if you haven't ridden, it's hard to explain, and I never understood how to say it. But the moment you get on that bike, you get that sense. A little bit of ego comes in. Let's be real, you know. But when you're on the highway and you're just going, it's just you. You are in full control of everything. You're the only hand that's on that throttle. You can go as slow or as fast as you want. And in that moment, for me, my head calms down. Everything's calm. You know, I can sit there and actually think. It's almost like, remember how I was talking about that first high?
Yeah.
I get that every time I get on the bike. Every time. It's an addiction where I get that sense of peace, where everything's okay, where I'm connected to the bike's connected to the road, and the road is a part of the world. And I can just drive. Still, there's people out there that suck at driving, you know.
Yeah.
But
especially in Atlanta.
No kidding. People don't know what this is right here. It's called a turn signal. But it's at that point where I don't need music on. I can just hear the bike, and just that subtle vibration, that subtle rumble, it calms me down, you know. And it's like you were saying, it's like you're like one. It sounds super weird, and I guess the word would be cliche, whatever. Yeah. Where like you can feel the rhythm of your bike right when you hit, and you know every little bit about your bike. You know what it's going to do on a turn. You know what you're going to do when you're on a straightaway. You know, it's having full control of everything right there. You know, and then also letting go of everything at the same time. It's a crazy experience. You know, and that's what it does for me.
No, for me, it is that control.
Yeah.
Right, because no matter what, for this point in time, I am in complete control of my environment.
Yep.
Right? Not in control of everybody else.
Yeah.
But I am in complete control of my environment.
But isn't that kind of like life though?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can control the only thing I can control in my life is my reaction to things. Everybody else is gonna either turn their turn signal on, move over, whatever, but all I can do is just smile and kind of lean into it and kind of go around them. Or I can decide to be mad and give them the bird. But then what does that do? That takes away my serenity right then. Now I'm focused on that, not the ride. You know, I'd rather focus on the ride, man.
I mean, when in doubt, throttle out.
Yeah.
You know, on the bike or in life, the only way out is through.
Yep. don't stop. I think Pastor JT says if you're going through hell, don't stop to take pictures. Just get on through it. You know,
Keep
throttle
on
through.
moving. Don't slow down.
Yep.
Yes,
It's
sir.
fun. It's good stuff.
So, how important is the brotherhood to you as far as the recovery? That I don't think I phrased that very well.
Okay.
Obviously, the brotherhood is super important. How for new people coming into recovery?
Yeah.
How important is that community?
That community,
right? Having whether it's a club, whether it's AA, you know,
yeah,
just having a group of like-minded people around you that can help you get to the next step, right? Or you know, keep moving forward. How important is that to recovery?
Extremely important.
Do you think you'd have 8 years in if it wasn't for it?
Nope, because I would have ended up surrounding myself with people that think like I think the way I thought. You know, if I'm surrounding myself with people that think the way I think, but with recovery and with Jesus or with just knowing that they care about me in their frame of mind, I that's how I made it. You know, if I didn't do that, how am I gonna try to say that? If I kept the same friends I had back then, I'd still be drunk, I'd still be high. Surrounding myself with people that have good integrity, good characteristics that I need, and seeing how their life is going, just like I did when I was a kid with the OGs, that's how I stay in recovery. Because when I'm slipping, they know how I'm thinking. And they're like, hey, you're kind of turning dry right now. Hey, you need to hit a meeting. You know, they can pick up on that stuff. Absolutely. Somebody who's still active in their active in their addiction isn't going to see that. They're going to be like, oh, hey, I know what I do when I feel like that. This is what I do. Boom. Does that make sense?
Yeah, even if they even notice that you're off.
And majority of the time, let's be real, they don't care. They're there because I have something they want, or I'm there because they have something I want. You know, it's all about me, 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 me. In that brotherhood of recovery, it's not about me. It's about what can I do for you to help you get better. You know, and that's what matters to me, and that's how I stay in it. You know,
like I know some people who say, "What? You know, I do it all on my own. I got sober on my own."
Oh, they white knuckle it. Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Are you actually happy though?
That's the thing. Is what kind of quality?
What life are you producing?
Yeah.
You know,
because I know I had. You know, I'm going on 7 years myself.
Yeah.
And for the first several years, I mean, it really was just me. You know, I had my wife and my kids, but I love my wife to death, but she's not enough.
Yeah.
In
that aspect.
In this aspect, right? I gotta have. She's never ever been in trouble. Never had a drug problem. Never. Right. So, you know, especially for me, like she can't relate to a lot of the stuff. She wasn't enough to keep me moving forward. I got stagnant in my recovery, and this is something that's, you know, come out in the last 6 or 7 months where I've had to revamp some stuff and try to figure out how to continue to push forward.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Oh, because then you learn from it.
Yep.
But yeah, no, the one thing, if I were to tell a newcomer in it, is definitely hit a meeting, find a meeting where you can relate and get a sponsor. That's the one thing everybody always says in every meeting you hear, get a sponsor, get a sponsor.
Gotta have an accountability.
Yep. You gotta have somebody you're accountable. If it's not somebody in there, just start off with somebody you can be accountable to that relates to you. You know, that's it. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, this only works if you have somebody that you'll listen to.
Yep.
And have somebody that will tell you.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. I had to get a little correction a few months back, right?
Oh yeah.
But that's the nature of it.
Yep.
And if I wasn't able to take that from these guys, right, from my own club,
who are you gonna take it from?
What's the point, right? Yep. What's the point of any of it?
Yeah.
Because if anybody should be able to sit me down and be like, dude, you're messing up. You need to figure this out. It should be those guys.
It should be your brothers. Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for the club. It came into my life at the right time to give me some purpose.
Yep.
And that's what, you know, for me, that's what I think is the most important in recovery is you have to have purpose outside of yourself. That's where I got a little stagnant.
Yeah.
Because I was just doing the day to day. I wasn't trying to find any way to use my testimony or use my story. Well, if I'm not using my story, that 18 years that I did locked up, was wasted.
Yep. You didn't learn anything.
Yeah, completely wasted.
Going around that mountain again. Yeah. Oh, that's good, brother. That's good. And I think God also brings it in at the right time for us to actually listen and hear, or whatever your higher power is, you know, brings it in at that right time so you can see it and hear it.
Yeah, timing's really important.
Yeah. It's always kind of creepy. I used to think that, oh, this happened because it was just a coincidence. Nah, man, there has to be something up there doing something.
Absolutely.
You know.
Why didn't that gun go off?
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah.
And that I still ask myself that, but.
Oh, you know why?
Oh yeah. I know why. I know why now. You know.
Well, I mean, I'll be selfish about it. If you'd have let you die back then, I wouldn't have got to meet you.
Yeah.
Right? And I've benefited greatly from this friendship.
I appreciate that.
So, got a plan.
Yeah, he always does. Jeremiah 29:11, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for sitting down and speaking and sharing your story.
Absolutely.
Guys, addiction is probably one of the worst things in the world, if not the worst evil that is running rampant in this world. But I'm here to tell you, and Squatch is here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. Recovery is possible. Life outside of addiction is possible. Find yourself some brotherhood. Find yourself a community. Hold yourself accountable. Keep moving forward. Always. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us, Squatch.
Hey,
it's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's all there, brother. I appreciate you.